Welcome back students. As you know, we are doing chapter 2 of science, that is matter around us pure? And in the last lecture we studied about mixtures, that is the type of mixtures. Now we are going to study the separation techniques by which the mixtures can be separated. So let us study how we can separate the components of a mixture. Separating the components of a mixture, we have learned that most of the natural substances are not chemically pure. Different methods of separation are used to get individual component from a mixture. Separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. So by separating the components of a mixture, we can study about that component and we can use that component also. Heterogeneous mixtures can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical methods like hand picking, sieving, filtration that we use in our day-to-day life. You already know regarding these methods. We have studied in lower classes. Sometimes special techniques have to be used for the separation of the components of a mixture. So let us study those techniques. If we want to separate dye, that is colored component, from blue or black ink, then how we can do that? Let us see it through an activity. Put a watch glass on the mouth of a beaker as shown in figure. In the next slide you can see the figure. Put few drops of ink on the watch glass. Now start heating the beaker. We do not want to heat the ink directly. You will see that evaporation is taking place from the watch glass. Continue heating as evaporation goes on and stop heating when you do not see any further change on the watch glass. Means you have to heat it till evaporation is taking place. So students, as shown in the diagram, first of all you have to take a watch glass. You have to put few drops of ink in the watch glass and then you have to put the watch glass on a beaker containing water and you have to heat it till evaporation takes place in the watch glass. Now we will observe that when water gets evaporated from the watch glass and residue is left in the watch glass. This residue is the colored component which is called dye. In this way, evaporation can be used to obtain volatile component from its solution. What is a volatile component? Volatile components are the components which can be easily evaporated. So, by the process of evaporation, we can obtain dye from blue or black ink. Thus, we find that ink is a mixture of a dye in water. Thus, we can separate the volatile component, that is the solvent, from its non-volatile solute by the method of evaporation. Next is, how can we separate cream from milk? Nowadays, we get full cream, toned and double toned varieties of milk packed in a polypacks or tetra packs in the market. These varieties of milk contain different amounts of fats. So now let us see how we can separate these fats from the milk. It can be done by the process which is called centrifugation. So what is centrifugation? The method of separating denser particles and lighter particles from a mixture by using centrifuging machine is called centrifugation. For example, if we take some milk in centrifuging machine and spin it rapidly, this cream separates from milk because cream is less dense than milk. So the centrifugation method is used to separate denser and lighter particles from the mixture. And since the cream is less dense than milk, this technique can be used to separate cream from milk. Here you can see centrifuging machines are there, with the help of which it can be done. Here in the diagram you can clearly see that in centrifuging machine, with the help of rapidly rotating rotor, spinned very rapidly and cream and milk get separated easily. So students, like cream in milk, sometimes the solid particles in liquid are very small and they pass through filter paper. So such particles cannot be separated by filtration technique and such mixtures are separated by centrifugation. The principle is that denser particles are forced to the bottom and the lighter particles stay at the top when spun rapidly. You already know that centrifugation is used for separating denser and lighter particles, and the principle is when they are spun rapidly, the denser particles are forced to stay at the bottom, whereas the lighter particles will go to the top, and this way they will get separated. Now let us see the applications of this centrifugation technique. First one is that it is used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine test. It is used in dairies and home to separate butter from cream. You might have seen your mother separating butter from cream. If not seen, then next time ask your mother to show it to you when she is preparing it, so that you will understand this technique very easily. Next is, it is used in washing machines to squeeze out water from wet clothes. So these are the applications of centrifugation technique. Now students, next is how can we separate a mixture of two immiscible liquids? So first of all, what are immiscible liquids? Immiscible liquids are the liquids which cannot get mixed. If you take oil and water, they are immiscible. They will not get mixed. So now let us see how we can separate the two immiscible liquids from a mixture. A separating funnel can be used to separate the components of the mixture of immiscible liquids. Oil and water are two immiscible liquids and form two different layers in a separating funnel. So with the help of separating funnel, we can separate oil and water from a mixture of oil and water. Let it stand undisturbed for some time so that the separate layers of oil and water are formed. Open the stopcock of separating funnel and pour out the lower layer of water carefully. So first of all, what you have to do, you have to fill the mixture of oil and water in a separating funnel, and then you have to let it stand undisturbed for some time. So what will happen, water will get settled down in the bottom part of the funnel and oil will form a layer over the layer of water, and then open the stop cork of this separating funnel and pour out the lower layer of water carefully in a beaker or in any vessel. So this way you can separate mixture of oil and water with the help of separating funnel. So the answer to our question that how we can separate two immiscible liquids is with the help of separating funnel. Figure shows the separating funnel. In such a funnel, if you fill a mixture of water and oil and left it undisturbed for some time, then as shown in figure, water will get settled down at the bottom of the funnel and kerosene or oil will form a layer over the layer of water. And with the help of stopcock situated in the downward part of the funnel, you can remove water so that the kerosene will left in the funnel, and this way you can separate water and oil with the help of separating funnel. Now let us see the applications of separating funnel, or where this separating funnel is used. First one, to separate mixture of water and oil. Second, in extraction of iron from its ore. First of all, what is ore of iron? Ore of iron is the compounds of iron in which proportion of iron is more compared to other elements or impurities. So it is used in the extraction of iron from its ore. The lighter slag, that is the impurities, is removed from the top by this method to leave the molten iron, that is melted iron, at the bottom of the furnace. The principle used in this separating funnel is the immiscible liquids separate out in layers depending upon their densities. So on basis of their densities, they are getting separated in layers in this separating funnel, and this principle is used for separation of two immiscible liquids. So students, with this we conclude our lecture. In this lecture we studied how to separate dye from ink, how to separate cream from milk, and how to separate two immiscible liquids from its mixture. In the next lecture we will study other techniques of separation.